Yes, we are live. And so, hello, everyone. Welcome to expert session number 30 of the Evolve Commerce Club. And we are thrilled to welcome Abi Sachdeva, the founder and CEO of Ekyam.ai. Abi has an impressive track record, boasting over 25 years of experience in the technology sector with a significant focus on retail. So, before founding Ekyam, Abi held pivotal leadership roles, including CTO at renowned companies companies such as QVC, Rent the Runway, Tory Burch, and his tenure at this organization that has equipped him with deep insights into the intersection of tech and retail, making him a key thought leader in the industry. Abi's work at Ekyam focuses on leveraging AI-driven solutions to streamline inventory and order management. Under his leadership, Ekyam has become known for its innovative platform that helps retailers unify their systems, enabling them to operate more efficiently and improve customer satisfaction. So today we'll be discussing the impact of AI on inventory management and customer experience, strategies for enhancing customer engagement in a digital-first environment, and of course, practical business cases and challenges faced by tech and business professionals, along with effective solutions. As always, our members will have the opportunity to ask their questions directly and to interact here. Abi, before we dive into all of the challenges that retailers face and everything that you're really good at, I like to start with the big picture. So how did we get here? That's a question that I always ask.
How do we get here? Thanks to you. You got us here. Take it as that. Let's take it from there, like in a simple way. But like I'm very excited to be here. Thank you so much. Right, the journey of mine is been a roller coaster ride. Been very much in a corporate world and a startup world, and on the other side of it, and now coming into it and starting my own venture again after 13 years. The last time I did the venture was back in 2011. Coming again and starting this is a total different ball game this time, right? And this is the first time we are doing into the B2B world of ours. Um, where we are specifically, as you mentioned, is focus is like the journey. What I have seen it in a retail industry when I was working for the various biggest retailers like QVC, when I was a CTO for 1-800-Flower, or when I was the head of a technology for Tory Burch. There was a one fundamental problem what I started noticing within all those retailers, and one of the biggest problem was what they're saying, like you see it like there's a silos of all the retail tech solutions, and those solutions are independently great of its own, right? Like the ERP system is amazing of its own, your OMS systems are amazing, but when you have to talk to each other together, those integrity problems of that causes hell lot of problems for the retailers, and that's majority of the time is like an inventory issue. So if you ask any retailer around the globe, uh, can they actually say that they have solved the inventory problem? The answer going to be no. It's 1.3 trillion dollars which has been lost every year in the retail industry because of the inventory inaccuracy. And that's where I saw that we need to build certain system which can connect all the silos and bring the inventory record, improve the inventory record of accuracy for the retailers, and make it seamlessly easy for them to make that work, right? And that's what the Ekyam means. Ekyam means actually connecting those two worlds together into that. So the journey, what I've learned it into all these corporate worlds and in the big retailers, gave me an opportunity to build this product. And now we are in a very stage where we are working with the clients like a PVH, working with the clients like Spanx, working with the clients like Johnny O and some others, where we are solving one or the other problem for them. Either they are having so much of a manual operations and we are automating those operations by building those connections between their ERP systems, their 3PLs and all those kind of things, or we are orchestrating the data for them, which they're pulling it from warehouses, the ERP, and taking it to the assortment planning tools, or making a real-time inventory updates coming into it for their e-commerce platforms, or knowing what's inventory sitting in the store so that we can route an order to the store or to the nearest location which the retailers are, where the customers are sitting to, so that they can save the last miles and all this kind of stuff.
Thank you very much. So let's start with the, one of the things that my daughters, they ask me is like, typically they say, Dad, what is it that you do and how do you make money? And so they are now 11 and 9 years old, so they are older. But I've always told them, Dad helps people to talk. I'm an enabler, so and I help people talk across the world. That's what I do for a living, and I believe I'm good at it. If you were to explain in a few words for to a child, and I think you have well, your daughter, by the way,
Too.
she just went to she departed, right? She went to university, so congrats on that amazing accomplishment. Um, but if you were to explain to my daughters or someone who's at a younger generation, they're in their like 5 years, and what is it that Ekyam is solving? And the reason I'm asking you this is because we also have uh, quite a bit of business people, and I think we need to understand more like the technical side. But it's also very important to understand this in a simple manner. What's the vision and the impact of what you're doing?
Good. So usually for the customers who are not to the retail tech world of it, I've given a very simple example to explain it. Think about it. You go to a website of a retailer and you say like, hey, I'm going to go pick this dress or this handbag from your store, nearest store, right? Your e-commerce platform or anything like on a social media platform or wherever, it might say that I have a product available in the nearest store of yours, but you go there, but that has been already been bought by somebody, because in the stores the inventory is limited, right? So think about it. If your daughter likes a certain dress or likes a certain thing, and you're going in, or shoes, and going to the store by looking into the website or looking into it, like thinking like, I have that product, I want this product and all this kind of thing. But going over there, you find that it's already been sold out. There's a gap between the store is talking to the e-commerce platform, right? That gap is because the point of sale systems are not up to date to the e-commerce platforms, and there's a silos of their own, right? What we come into it, we connect both of them. So as soon as that inventory has been sold out, the e-commerce platforms or any of the social media platforms or anything, they can get an update easily saying like, hey, now that inventory is not available, or it's available to the closest store, right? And all this kind of thing. And from a business point of view, think about it. The people who run the business in any of the industry, you are running Google ads, you are running SEOs, you are running like a Instagram, Facebook, TikToks, and all those kind of a thing coming. And think about it now. The same thing is happening. What was happening to the store? You're running a campaign thinking that you have an inventory in a warehouse, right, or in your 3PL, but that warehouse has lost that inventory, or your B2B partner, Amazon Marketplace came in, or Nordstrom, or any of the bigger marketplace came in, and they took the rest of the inventory. Now your warehouse system has to send you on a real-time basis an update so that you can stop the campaign, so that you don't have to pay when the customer click on an ad or any other SEO thing and landing onto the PDV page, which is say like a product detail page, that it's out of stock, or even worse, when you take an order, now after that you have to cancel that order. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does. I'm just listening because while you're speaking about it, I mean, I don't think it's just e-commerce. I mean, it's so frustrating. In Brazil, we typically make jokes when you go to a restaurant, for example, and then you order what's on the menu, but the guy goes there and says, "Hey, do you have it?" "Oh yeah, of course I have it." "No, I don't have it anymore." "We have it, but we don't." And that's that's what you're saying, right? So the figure that you're sharing, like 1.3 trillion USD or euros lost due to inventory accuracy, that's just on the B2C retail e-commerce side of things. Is that it? But are they
Anything and
account?
everything. It could be logistic problem, it could be the
Mhm.
supply chain problem, it could be the communication problem between the platforms, and all those kind of things. But this data has grown from 2021 to 2023, and this is 1.3 trillion dollars. What I'm talking is 2023 data. In 2021 it was 1.1 trillion dollar, right? So the because think about it now, between the wars and between all those shipment logistic problems happening after COVID, it has got even worse, right? People think like after the COVID time was a supply chain issue, right? Supply chain issue must have resolved, but there's, or to a certain extent, but that gap, what's causing this industry is the increase. And 1.3 trillion dollars is more than a GDP of Australia at this moment, right? Think about it, right? So you can solve such a major problem when you get an opportunity. That's what it's motivates it.
So Abi, on that note, because what people try to do, and I also think it's amazing. Like in the fashion industry, there's a lot of waste, right? So we see let's say the rise of secondhand stores now. They're becoming very popular, which is it's a I wouldn't say it's a solution, but it's a remedy to the problem that we have. This problem of inaccuracy of stocks, and but where are we today? Like how do you think? You're talking about how big the industry is, but how many solutions like Ekyam exists? Are you like one of the first movers? Do you see companies now? Because you talk a little. We spoke a lot about your challenges as in being a vendor now. We like being on the other side of the table, but I think that is a challenge or a problem that the industry understands. People in supply chain, right? Where are we as an industry, as a category, in what you're doing today?
So you asked two different questions in my mind,
Hmm.
what you just asked, right? The first is the sustainability, right, in the fashion industry, right?
Hmm.
Sustainability and how we are. There's such a waste which is happening, and recycling the material or using a recycled material or using any of that so that we can work towards sustainability side of it. There's a lot of work going on that side, right? And there are amazing entrepreneurs who are coming into it in this and trying to solve the problems for the sustainability side of it, like how to actually reduce down the cycle of like a waste material, or how to reuse it and all this and like I was just in a conference a couple of weeks ago or a month ago in Miami, and we was talking and we spent all day talking about all that stuff, right? The sustainability side. And the second piece, what you talked about it, or you ask a question, is like, where do we stand in the category of as one of the initial movers or anything like that side of it? So there are two ways every retailer is solving these problems right now. They have because they cannot work with like how they are. The very first is like they have to hire tons of engineers, right, in their company, or outsource their work, so that they have to write all the APIs, right? All the APIs to integrate these ERP systems. And then they have to hire a BI team to do the data orchestration pieces of their, and then but these retailers, specifically for a mid-range retailers, majority of them cannot scale because these are the major challenges for them. So think about a retailer who's even a $50 million to a $500 million, right, revenue side of it. They cannot afford the technologies, which is hiring the engineers and all those kind of things to make these systems work. So the growth for them is slowdowns, or many of them cannot grow because of that challenge. And we help them because our systems are literally designed for those retailers who are from $100 million to $1 billion, or $50 million to $1 billion. You can say that, where we can help them to integrate and make these systems work as like a very cohesive platforms, right? We and the second question, like second piece that they're working is like a MuleSoft, TIBCO, Boomi, and like all of those. There are iPaaS systems which are being there, but none of those systems or none of those are retail specific. They're very horizontal solutions. Where we are coming is purely as in a vertical of retail. Specifically, we are targeting right now the fashion and the beauty, right? That's where the fashion, beauty, and the shoes, which you can, and the furniture side of it. These are the areas where we are targeting right now because these are the massive, massive area where we can look and solve into it. But think about it again, the inventory challenges in pharmaceutical is massive in the pharmaceutical industry because they have an expiry date which many of has to, so that's, so thinking about knowing the pulse of it, like what's going on, where is it, and all this for those pharmaceutical company is very big. But somebody else, we are not focusing right now on a pharmaceutical, but
Mhm.
down the road, I believe like how we are in the retail and the fashion, somebody going to stand up and going to start helping the pharmaceuticals, right? And so these kind of startups and these kind of stuff are going to happen in near future.
It's interesting that you're talking about pharmaceuticals because Peter here, he's Peter, you will come in and speak soon, so you can introduce yourself properly. And he's going to be on our next expert section next week. So he's a software engineer. He's worked in pharma, he's worked in logistics, and now he's working at Carlsberg, right, in Denmark. He leads the software engineering team there, and I think he could probably relate to what you're saying. He loves AI and so on. But the curiosity I have, Abi, is it more like, because it makes sense when you talk about expiry dates in pharma. And for example, at some point I sold beers from Denmark to Brazil when I arrived here, right? And selling the or finding the buyer isn't very difficult, but like the whole process of exporting beers, because the beer has to stay at the harbor for a while until customs deliver, like that is a massive problem because there's so much that can go wrong in that process until the product is released and you're able to sell it. So and in your sales process, I'm more curious about uh, focusing on a vertical like fashion, apparel, or focusing on the problem, as in, should we talk more like about inefficiencies and then target verticals, or just inefficiencies in general? I'm curious. How do you go about it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Carlos, problem is clear in front of us, right? That's why our product has been built because the problem we live the problem. I've lived the problem. I've seen the problem from inside out, right? The problem is that there are silos in a retail, and these many of the retailers starts thinking in a different fashion, right? They think about it as like, hey, I have to do the write off at the end of the year, right? Because I might have been did a wrong planning, right, of buying a wrong inventory or how much inventory I must should have bought, right? That's why I'm doing the write off on that side of it. But on the same time, there's the inventory which is sitting in a warehouse which cannot be sold, and then there's this inventory which is sitting in a store which cannot be sold because customer don't know about it that it's sitting over there. So because of the platforms cannot talk. So the problem is like there's a silos between the platforms, right? So the clarity for them, for us, is like we are trying to showcase that this is here it is, right? If you will connect these two systems in a seamless, in a real fashion, in a real time fashion, right, you will be able to get the data which you will be and send it to your assortment planning, and you will be able to plan it better next time. At the same time, your customer experience going to improve because now your customer knows where the inventory is sitting and you can route an order over there. So we are not trying to sell problem, we are trying to showcase the problem to our customers. And sometimes it's a kind of a eye openers for CEOs and the founders and chief merchandising officers. But behind the scene, when we talk to the CTOs and the CIOs and the VPs of technologies, they know this, right? So talking to them becomes easy, but there's a journey what we have to go through.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I find it fascinating being somewhat in sales, and because it's always a multi-threaded process, like the CTO.
Yes.
And when you talk about like the process of writing off technology, that's kind of, you also need to be courageous, right? If you're the CTO and you're gonna Yeah, you don't want to do that. You've been there,
Yes,
right?
yes. It's not easy to accept it that this happened because of there's a silo in my world, right? So, but then we have to show them the thing, like, see, you're spending hiring engineers has is expensive. First thing, maintaining them or sustaining them inside the company is even harder, right? A good engineer, right? So think about it: when the engineer leave your company, how much debt he's leaving behind, or how much knowledge he's taking or she's taking, which you now have to fill it with another one, right? So that's where the problem comes down. So when these are pre-built integrations and pre-built, we are telling them, see, what you don't have to rewrite the code ever again. Even if the technology changes, even if you change the ERP behind the scene or they upgrade the versions or anything like that, our system is designed to work with the older and the newer version, and it's a fully managed platform by us. So if you have to rewrite anything, it will be us. We will be rewriting our connectors, and we will be keeping up to date with all those various different integrations what you have. So they understand that they can reduce the cost now, right? And they can actually build a product which is going to sustain for a longer time, even if the technology involves as it involves, and we can give the speed to market to the business on that side. So we're trying to create a win-win situations for all of us.
Brilliant. Let's take that. And you mentioned that you sold some companies, right, in the beginning, and that's how you landed in QVC, and that
Yes.
led you to a couple of roles. So I would like you to share some of the things that you've learned in these big companies, the real business cases that you saw there. Um, and what were your challenges? We don't need to mention names specifically of people that that you work with, but what were your challenges? Maybe could you implement some of the solutions that you have now that that you created now in your startup there, and then you started saying, hey, if this is making sense now, this probably could address a much bigger market. But some business cases, I think that's super interesting, Abby.
Sure. So I don't know how many people know about Rent the Runway, right, out here, but Rent the Runway is a listed in a stock exchange now out here in New York. But I started that company back in 2008, right? I was a first tech engineer in for Rent the Runway, and I hired the team and built it. I tell you, first problem what I noticed over there. That's what forced me to start this company back, which I sold it to QVC. We was buying too much of an inventory or too much of product, and my buyers was buying from a very expensive designers, right? So each dress, think about it, um, is like a $3,000 or $4,000 dress, right? Which these professionals or like girls are wearing for a prom or anything like that, and they're wearing it one time or something like that, and then it's never wear again. That was a problem. But so those buying a dress, and to make it odd even on that side of it, we have to rent that dress at least 10 to 15 times. And some of the products never go into that many of cycles. So my first idea was like, hey, I can predict how much inventory you should buy, right? Back in 2011, and that was a prediction models. What I wrote it with the help of my team in 2011 before AI was AI. Right. So think about it. We was writing all. So I started that company in 2011, which we can say like, hey, I can predict if you tell me all your customer data, and I can pull the rest of the customer profile from Facebook and certain things and give me your previous exchange and tell me what you wanted to buy in the next season. I can predict how much quantity you should buy so that the waste is less, right? So that you don't buy over quantity or anything like that kind of a thing. And that's what we sold it to QVC, because the QVC is a TV channel, TV shopping channel. And what we were saying is like, hey, you know what your last week's show was, who was your audience was, you have all those data and all those kind of things, right? Give me that and tell me in the next show what you wanted to present, and I will show you what colors to show, what others to show, and what keywords to say on the TV. And we expect that you will gain some momentum on that side of it, right? You will give 100 base point growth week over week or whatever the last show. And that's what we started implementing that solution. They bought it, take it as that, and it took me a long time. It took me 11 months to build that solution, but it took me like 2 years to implement that in QVC because of the bigger the platform is, or bigger the company is, it's become super challenging, right? To incorporate, because now there are various different departments. In the startups, there's are not that like that, right? In a other, like, there are various department where it goes. To answer your question, the lessons what I learned is, like, at that time, I believe agile solutions and a scrum is was coming up, and that was the solutions which we saw, which we need to implement into the various different technologies and the business coming together, right? And that's where the maturity curve happened at that time of it. We solved it with that piece of it. But other problems, what we are seeing now in various bigger corporate fashion, is the same thing. They bought very, very expensive solutions. The sales teams across, like, various different platforms, like, you think about Salesforce, you think about Oracle, you think about SAP, you think about NetSuite, you think about all these Manhattans and all this kind of thing. They have sold to these retailers a massive products, very expensive products, and every retailer has bought them, right?
Mhm.
But now think about it, how are you going to make them work together? All these major brands, or all these major companies with all these major technology solutions, has created a problem for the retailers, which retailers thought, I'm buying it for my solution. And now, in a return, those platforms are giving them a major headaches, right? And that's where I believe at one time the open source and all that's kind of a thing started working and taking empowerment, but then the engineering cost went so high and all the security issues started happening. So now this is a combination of where I see uh, there going to be a lot of things coming, where there will be a lot of retailers will be coming into and building their solutions with a smaller agencies or smaller startups to think about it, who are secure, who knows the problem, and they're solving a specific problem. That's it.
Mm. And how do you see AI in this whole thing, like artificial intelligence evolving? And because, like, we have a couple of tech solutions within Evolve, quite a few actually, and a lot of no code, low code, solutions emerging. But yeah, I'm curious about also the role of engineers. How this is going to progress? What are your views on what's going to happen?
Yeah, so AI is maturing into the right direction. I believe we are just scratching the surfaces at this moment for AI, right? AI is, like, I'll give you an example where we are using AI. We are using AI so that we don't have to rewrite the configuration mappings or the code again and again. So once we have connected for one retailer SAP system to their Salesforce Commerce Cloud, or with any of the warehouse systems or any of that stuff, if we wrote once and now we have to re-implement it, the same solution or similar solution for another retailer, the rest of the configuration mappings is being written with the help of AI configuration mappers, and those microservices are written with them, and then we finish it and validate the testing and all those kind of things by human, right? So that's where AI is being used for us, and if I don't use AI, my cost of my development of my product and the engineers what I needed will be skyrocketing, right? So that's where we believe, I personally believe, is like AI best value for the engineers and all those kind of things going to come into it, is like how you can reuse your code, or how you fill the gaps in your code using AI, right? So many things like Copilot and like other things are coming into it in an AI world, which help the engineers writing the code or improving the code or writing the code in a smaller amount of a time and with the less manpower which is required, right? So that's where I see AI going in our world of it, specifically from a development point of view. Otherwise, there are so many use cases of AI, which is endless at this moment, right? You pick an industry, and there will be, and you will find like the scenarios and problems which AI can solve.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think we're in a just in the beginning of a very interesting journey, but that, at least to me, it seems that it's progressing quite fast. And yeah, I think we all need to, at least in what I do. I mean, Gustavo and I, it's super funny because I use large language models. I really like ChatGPT, or I started playing with Perplexity recently, because it just enhances what I do as simply as that, as simple as that. You know,
Yes.
like you know, so it's an enhancer, and I mean, it gives me so much speed to even to prepare our outline here for this conversation and all of that. So if you're just not using it, you know, you're lagging behind, right? Do you think, Abi, that do you see retailers like fighting back? I mean, see, even CTOs and technology people? No, I don't think so, but maybe,
No, they will never fight
right?
back.
Yeah.
There's not a case that they can fight back on that side
Hmm.
of it, right? See, the biggest thing, and when I was a CTO and all that stuff, um, one of the biggest responsibility which also comes to us, other than keeping the codes and all that, deploying the system, is like keeping the cost in the check, right? How am I going to keep my budget? How am I going to still deliver the roadmap and deliver the solutions within my budget, what I've been given to me for a year, right? And to understand, and the amount of work never reduce; it's always grow, right? What you cannot grow is you cannot keep growing your team to the next level, right? And the biggest challenge, again, what I explained is like CTOs and CIO understands it, right? That they have to scale or change with the time. If they are not understanding that, then I think they're not doing the job right, right? Simple as that. But they do understand that, and that's where I believe they will never. Uh, yes, they do have back of their mind sometimes. They think about it, if I continue this road, or if I've been asked to cut the budget because now I got the efficiency improvement somewhere else, they think about, some of them might think like now, hey, how am I going to let my team go? But I don't think so. Like that can happen. The work will always grow. You keep your strongest team with you always, right? I have a couple of my team members who are working with me since 2004, right? So because those engineers, it's hard to find the good engineers once you find it, right? So I don't think so. There's a pushback ever.
Let me just show something on stage here for curiosity. Copilot probably saves 50% of time for developers in Carlsberg, right?
And that's what I'm saying. Like we use Copilot, and I'm telling you, Copilot. There's so many other tools as well, which has help us to auto complete our code, and when we have to do the reconfiguration mappings and all those kind of things. Uh, Otherwise, I will be using my team. My team size of building this product is like between 12 to 15 engineers. Three of them are like here and there, but otherwise I would be having need to have like a 50 or 100 of engineers. Trust me, if I don't use the AI properly to do my next level mappings, auto testing, and all those kind of things.
Brilliant. Let me just invite our first member here, Sabrina. I'll invite her in to ask you a question, Abi.
Sure.
Oh, maybe she's at the backstage. Nope. Her internet was a bit slow. Let's see if she's still here. Trying to get you on stage. Let's see. Yeah, there she is.
Already?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, it's too difficult for me. All right, that's an interesting topic for me because mm, at the moment I am promoting some solution in part of this process um, of stock management and maybe more about prediction. So even at the moment we are trying to test with some solutions and with some customers the area of prediction of sales and how to connect it later on with the stock optimization, right? So my first question is, how far do you go with your solution? Which means if you said that you are about connecting the stock and updating in real time, orchestration, etc. But how far does it go? Do you also help these retailers optimize stock or try to predict where they should have it, etc., etc.? Or as you said, for example, I mean, this was a great example that when there is no more stock at some point, maybe you should stop the campaign. Do you also orchestrate it, right? So this is question number one. And the question number two is maybe based on it as well, because you said that you are very much focused on some industries, some areas like fashion and beauty. Is it like very different from the perspective of the processes to do it for other industries, or is it more like market strategy, right? Because I mean, if you see many differences between the managing of stock for a fashion company and another for, I don't know, for pharmacy, right? Apart from this expiry dates.
Yeah, so Sabrina, first piece of your question, what you was asking about it, how far do we go at this moment, where we standing into it? We connect the various different platforms. We reduce the time of connectivity as well as improve their efficiency on that side of it. But we do not show them like what can you do with that data, right? We are not a company where we are analyzing the data and giving you recommendation what you should do next, right? Because we believe that is a total different set of a problem, right? That set of a problem of understanding that what you can do with the data, you need to have so much a depth of a knowledge of your business, right? That we don't have that expertise in house for that. We are technical people, and we're not an analyst, right? Take it as that, and that is the job of an analyst. What you are looking on that side of it, but like think about it now. The company who you are for their stock optimizations or anything like that, we can show them that if they connect the data, or if they connect their warehouse systems to their ERPs or to the e-commerce systems or any TMS or OMS systems in a much more defined fashions or much more in a defined way or with a certain standard, you will improve the efficiency of selling and the customer experience better, right? We improve that piece of it, right? And your second piece of a question was, sorry, I couldn't remember it, right? What was the second piece of the question? You mute.
If it would be much different from the technical perspective or the solution perspective for other retail industries.
And that's the beauty of it, is no. The answer is no, right? Because see, majority of the time, if you look into the ERPs of if you think about it, for a fashion retailer versus you think about it automobile retailer or something like that, or who makes the spare parts or anything like that, or the pharmaceutical, their ERP system is SAP, right? So there are similar in that fashion, or one of those kind of systems, right? So there, the problem starts from there, right? And then they have in the background, they have a various distribution logistic platforms, which is again common. Okay, again very common too. So the technology solution, the technology platforms which everybody is using is very similar, right? It's just the processes inside them is different, right? So once we understand, once we target our complete industry, which we know like now we have got to, and now we can scale it to the other side of it, right? We will be able to help other side as well, on the other industries as well. But the solution is similar, going to be similar. Yes, a little bit 10 to 20%, 30% different, but majority of the piece going to come as the same tech stack. Because again, I've worked in a fashion and a retail more of my life, so I know this much better. But I have my board members who are working with like auto spare parts and all those kind of things inside that, and they're using the same tech stack, right? It's just a matter of time. Somebody going to raise a hand and going to start working with them also in the same side of it.
So this is more of a market strategy, right?
Yes, it's a more of for us. It's like we know the problem and we can speak the language much more easily. Then I can speak to the I'm right now the sales guy. I'm right now the marketing guy. I'm doing all this kind of thing. I can speak a certain language for fashion and certain retailers. I'm not expert in a pharmaceutical, for example, right? But my expertise from last 15 years.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting, if I may say, because what I see here is a kind of a minimalist. And in many cases, when I work with companies that they are not minimalists, right? They say, if we have this kind of solution and we can do the same for automotive and fashion and beverages and anything, well, we have to go to everyone, right? So one thing about this, and another thing about the scope, because if they have a piece of software to solve some problem, then they like to add a little bit on this part, to maybe do some automation, to do something, right?
Yeah, I see. Retail industry is massive, massive, right? If I even start thinking about certain areas in retail, it's become when I did the TAM of my fashion and all this kind of, I did it when I was looking into it, like how big is the TAM is total addressable market and all those kind of things in retail fashion. It's more than a $3 billion just for the fashion, right? And if you look overall prospect of it, it becomes like the complete market of stuff becomes like 40-50 billion dollar market, right? And if I try to swallow all, like I will become again the same. I will be Siligo or a Bhumi or like a Timka. Then how do I focus my energy and my team energy to solve a certain problem in a certain area, in spite of trying to do many things at the same time?
Thank you. An interesting way of thinking.
Thank you.
Awesome. So thank you, Sabrina. We're now getting Peter, our Peter. Yeah, here he is. All right. Let's join the. Yeah, he needs to. That's why he needs to grant camera mic permission. That's why, Peter, I thought you were using your mobile phone. That's the reason. Yes. Amen. So Peter is our software engineer friend as well, works at Carlsberg. I really wanted to introduce you guys, so now you have an opportunity and we can take the conversation afterwards. Peter, welcome, man. Thanks for joining.
Hey, you're welcome. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
All right,
100%.
cool. Hey, Abi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
We're tackling some interesting challenges in Carlsberg along the lines of integration. I have a million comments and 1,000 questions, so I'm trying to think where to start. Can start by an interesting anecdote. Asia is a huge area of growth for Carlsberg. Unfortunately, Asia is what we call an indirect market. So we don't sell direct to the customer, we use distributors. Most of the distributors in Asia are mom and pop shops. So they deliver products on their tuk-tuks to bars and to little corner shops. And their warehouse is their basement or their living room. They don't have any management systems of any kind, no warehouse management, no nothing. You know, if someone calls them and says, "Do you have beer?" They go, "Hang on, let me look in my bedroom and see if I have beer here." Yeah, there's beer in there. You can get it later. So there is no systems to integrate with. And what all the requirements we hear from distributors in Asia is we want integration, but there's nothing to integrate with. It's just a funny anecdote, really. You don't have to. I'm just, So integration is interesting when there's nothing to integrate with. In terms of the Gartner Pace Layer model, which is something that I think we often talk about. Too bad that Adam isn't here today. There are like 3 layers: systems of record, differentiation, and innovation, which is actually from the bottom up, I guess. Where do you see your system sitting? Are you, because you're integrating between systems which are, I guess, outside of the organization and then in. So that sounds like you're kind of like an integration hub, but you're outside. What's your sales pitch when you come in with your system?
So Peter, we are outside and inside as well, right? So outside connectivity is through the EDI connectors, right? So we connect the EDIs and translate that EDI into the formats of APIs and convert and connect it to the ERP systems, right? We can do that, or we can connect EDI to EDI also. On the other side is when we are inside, we are connecting ERPs to your e-commerce platform, which is inside, right? Or ERP to OMS, or ERP to your warehouse distribution management system. So we both in and out, right? So think about us, we're following the journey of an inventory, right? A journey of an inventory is followed from the purchase order, which has been cut, and a manufacturer, and from a manufacturer down to when it reaches to the warehouse until it's been sold. But coming to your point of Asia pieces, right? I'm not, though I'm Asian, I've never worked in Asia ever, like it's on the market, but you might tell me, I might not be 100% familiar as how to speak into their lingo on that side of it, right?
Me neither,
but
to be honest.
But I tell you, out here also, there's so many of, in US, there's so many of decent sized retailers, which are doing 80 million, $100 million, and they manage all their stuff in the Excel files. Right.
Yeah.
So what we wrote a converter for Excel as well. Right. So you managing your inventory, or you're managing your stuff in an Excel file or anything like that, we can convert that into a JSON response, which can further talk to the ERP system. Right. So as far as connecting to those, if you wanted to, you and I can connect more offline. If you wanted to see like, hey, here's the template. Once you have it, even you don't have anything of your integrate or warehouse management system or any of your systems to manage it, as far as you follow into a certain template of your Excel, then you got this, you have this much inventory, you sold this, and this is what it is. I can connect the rest of it and connect back to your mothership, right?
Yeah.
And that way we can connect those integration pieces. Coming down to your third piece of it, what's our sales pitch, or what we actually trying to when we tell it to our customers or who we're talking to, it's very different. We hear their problem, right? And according to, we actually talk what solution we can provide them and how we can provide them. At this moment, we have not, we are very early stage, right? We have not created like something, a universal pitch, which I can say and then say, hey, that's it. And that's probably might be next year or so. We will be able to reach to that level. I have not reached to that level yet.
It's funny, you're kind of when you have a good idea, sometimes there's a light bulb that goes off, or on, I guess. Just now, when you said you can convert an Excel spreadsheet into something that then becomes a JSON document, and you pass it on, I think that's a perfect example of a slam dunk use case of a large language model, which is taking unstructured data, extracting the structure from it, and then turning it into something that is a JSON document that you can pass on.
And that's what we're doing it. Like literally, that's what we are doing it. We're doing it for one of our retailer now. They've been getting all their pack slips and everything in the Excel file, right, from the various different manufacturers, and they have there was no ways. They was manually entering into their ERP system every time they get the pack slip, what the difference between the PO and a pack slip was, and they're doing it. And now we are making that as automated fashion for them.
Cool. It's very interesting. I never heard of your product before. I will certainly check it out on your website. Looks really interesting. By the way, we use Kafka as well, and I'm desperately trying to get rid of it. But yeah, it's funny how that thing is all over the place.
Which one are you using? Sorry,
Kafka. I saw they were using that as well. Or I saw one of you guys saying that he's a Kafka person. So I'm imagining you're using Kafka in the backend.
We are using Kafka integrators. We use, our data streams are all built in Kafka, right?
Yeah.
So all the data streams are built on the Kafkas, and then we're using various connectors inside it to translate the data streams into the formats what we require to talk to the next data stream.
Yeah.
And standardizing it.
Yeah, it's got some cool features for that. But now I can see Carlos going, oh, now it's gonna descend into nerd
It's
talk.
no, it's fine. It's fine. I love it. I mean, that's the whole purpose. You guys can I'm just trying to follow, you know, like I know nothing about it. So I'm like, okay. I'm learning a bit here. And it's nice that you guys can talk the same lingo. So I find it amazing. Um but I think we're approaching the end. Abi, I think we spoke about the inefficiency in the industry, the problem that you're solving. We spoke also about some of your career. We spoke a little bit about your vision in terms of AI and what's that how that's going to impact the industry. Perhaps we could wrap this up. You know, I'm trying to avoid to to have like future talk. I'm trying to focus more on the present these days because yeah, only God knows about the future. I don't know what's going to happen anymore, you know, but the
Nobody
present at
knows.
least nobody knows. And if you look at Gartner and all of these guys, they're really good at coining terms, creating anxiety and selling the future and selling stuff that nobody needs, right? and then but they're good at creating categories. So I'm more focusing on the present and what's not going to change. And maybe yeah, I'd like to hear some final remarks. And you know, as I said, like you're a great member in our community. Also, I want to support Ekyam and, as best as I can. So perhaps some final remarks in the current state of the industry. How yeah, because you spoke about chief merchandising officers when they realize the problem that they have, but they didn't necessarily know about it, or how, you know, it's like a light bulb moment that they have, like Peter said. CTOs understand it, but they need eventually to write off technology, or, you know. So what's the current state? And let's wrap this up talking about the present. I don't have so much to, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't have a script to finish this off today.
Yeah. So this is the present situation is changing every day. So today, what we talk about it, not going to be what's this problem going to be tomorrow, right? But like, I think like what we need to make it aware, and I'm trying to spread the words on that side of it too. If you're not going to use the right technology, your planning will always going to be wrong, because what you're doing is a garbage data and you're producing a garbage out, right? So and you use the best assortment planning tools which merchandising teams can use it and all this kind of thing, but if you're even using a 10% of a wrong data, your predictions with those assortment planning tools will be 100% wrong with a 10% wrong data, because then you will be doing the right of problem. If you have an opportunity right now to integrate in a right fashion where the industry need to go in present at this moment, encourage your friends and encourage your staff to look into it, how you can use AI more, how you can actually utilize a better API services or better tools like ours to build those integration. One thing which I realized it, and one thing which I need help from this community is I don't know how to sell. I'm not a sales guy. I'm a more of a technologist, right? So one thing which I'm realizing now, and as I said, like in 2011 when I started my company, that was a very easy, because I have like two other partners who was more of a coming from a Harvard University and know how to sell it. This time I'm doing it first time the sales, and I'm realizing it's a super hard job. It's the most hard job ever. Okay, and and if you guys have tips for me how to sell properly, please help me on that side of it. And that I will take a present. I will ask for a help at the end of this session. Is to, if you're good in sales, or if you know anybody who's great in sales, connect me with it, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, I think if I could give a tip, sales is, in my opinion, it's about the problem. So if you can educate and you have a couple of audiences there, like merchandise officers, and the CTOs and technology people. So they have different problems, and you have to sell those problems and maybe like a better future. There's a guy that I really like called Christopher Lockhead. He says that great marketing people, they force you to have a choice. So they talk about an old way of doing things and a new way. And I believe in that, right? So a question I have about your solution, Abi, it's within how long from implementing Ekyam can I start seeing actual results? Within how long can you start moving the needle in terms of predicting or having accuracy in whatever I'm doing?
So I'll give you a simple example of a primary.com. Primary.com is a children's wear clothing retailer who actually was using Celigo as one of their product to integrate between the ERP system and the 3PL systems. And they were having a hard time every time the shipment was arriving. We integrated our complete solution within 6 weeks, and they able to see $1 million growth in a very first quarter only, because now the efficiency has improved. They know they was able to start selling their products sooner. They know what to take an order from the B2B partners, and they have reduced down the cost of a manual operations, right? Mm-hmm. So what they expect is by the end of this year, they will be able to save or grow by $1.7 million or something like that because of our product implementation. So 6 weeks implementation, and they're less than $100 million retailer, right? 6 weeks of implementation, their technology was not that complex. We say 100 days of an integration as our platform, right? For a decent sized retailer, we can integrate our platform within the first 100 days, where we can connect all the silos, provide you the models which can convert your data into the standards, and help you in the data orchestration pieces as well, and add a couple of workflows as needed.
So is it fair to say that the old way of predicting inventory is through like a bunch of spreadsheets and a lot of people in your team, and the new way now would be, like a more modern way would be, of course, Ekyam is the solution, but fewer people and
Yes. In a nutshell, you need less manpower to integrate, right? And your accuracy will improve if you use a proper methods of integration. Otherwise, you will be continue to tackle this problem manually, and your results could be good, could not be, but the high probability is that your results will be wrong because you're manually fetching it from various different ways. Then your BI team is massaging the data. Then you're sending it to the data lakes. And from the data lakes, you are again adding some workflows into it. And then again, you're sending it down to assortment planning tools or anything like that. It's just too much work and it's too lengthy process, right? Mm-hmm. We can help to shorten that process and improve the efficiencies.
Sounds good. Abi, I think this was super nice. We'll create some snackable bites for you, like a nice thumbnail will help you promote this content. I think this was great. Peter here will be our next expert next week, so I hope Abi can also join us, and will be his turn to ask him questions. And that was it, Abi. Very happy to promote Ekyam.ai, and if people want to find you, people that are not in our community, what's the best way, please?
Sure. The best way will be the LinkedIn. If you connect me on a LinkedIn, I will drop my LinkedIn profile into it, and I will look forward to talking and meeting every one of you guys.
All right. We'll make sure also to put the links in the description of our YouTube channel.
Thank you.
All right, gents. Perfect. Abi, I'll catch you offline now. Peter, thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys.